Hey, everybody, this is Jonathan. Quick note before we get started today, because I'm really bad at organizing, episode number 359 was recorded out of order with 358. And because of plans we have with 358, I want to make sure that we don't release that yet. So, episode 359 is going to be published first. Hope you enjoy 359 this week, 358 next week. And because of the little mix-up, I can tell you that both 359 and 358 will be on the main feed. So even folks who are not patrons are getting an extra episode this month. All right, let's get on with the show.
Recorded live in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Trivial Warfare. More than just a pub quiz, Trivial Warfare is your gateway to a worldwide trivia community. Join your hosts, Jonathan.
We just described Ric Flair as Neanderthal Man and Planet of the Apes.
Chris.
Yo, we going down to Sesame Street.
That's your impression of hardcore rap?
Carmela.
That would irritate the hell out. I'm like, I just want my groceries. My ice cream is melting.
Ben.
4 halogens in that list.
Oh my God.
You were like, it's not the halogens. I'm like, no, Ben, no.
Those damn halogens got me again.
And the rest of the Trivial Warfare Army for another week of fun and games. Now here's your host, Jonathan Oakes.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trivial Warfare. We are the podcast that takes a pub quiz out of the pub and brings it home to you. My name is Jonathan and I am here today with Carmela Smith. Hello, Carmela.
Hello, everyone.
You know, Carmela, for some reason, I thought that Ben was on this episode today, and I don't want you to tell him this because, and obviously I love that you're here. I am a little disappointed. I'm like, oh, no, Ben. I was really looking forward to it.
You're just stuck with me today.
See, that's what I didn't want you to feel, because I feel blessed to have you here.
Nah, I'm just picking on you.
Yeah, but yeah, it was like, oh, no, Ben. What the heck? Okay, so, Carmela, we have some great guests today.
We do.
We are going to have a lot of fun. Matty Kimberlin is with us today. Hey, Matty.
It's good to be back. What's going on, Jonathan?
Matty, I had your name all in my mouth earlier this week. I mean, you were being talked about. Oh, my God. So Katie and Nick and I recorded the finale, the wrap-up episode of Things That Are Blank to put a bow on the season. And Matty is statistically and observationally the leading Things That Are Blank player in the Trivial Warfare Army. You, my friend, are an incredible game player.
Thank you. That's much nicer than what I would expect people to be talking about when I hear that I'm in people's mouths.
Well, we have the facts to prove it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Nate Kinast is with us today. Nate, did I pronounce your name right? I should have asked ahead of time.
You did, and I think you have every single time you've tried, which is very unusual. So
I'm surprised myself because I change it around in my mind sometimes.
I usually go with Kinast like dentist when I tell my students. So
that's not bad. Well, welcome to the show, Nate.
Thank you.
And Nathan McQuinn is with us today. Hey, Nathan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you as well. I want to get to know all of you a little bit better. Matty, we will start with you. Can you tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself?
Well, I am newly from Anderson, Indiana, which is about 40 minutes outside of downtown Indianapolis. Those who followed me in the Trivial Warfare Army or elsewhere may know that I have been a nomad for the past 4.5 years, and I guess that's kind of a fun fact. But now we are settled down, domesticated, and living here in central Indiana and enjoying it. Still getting used to the winter, though, that's for sure. And I am still at present a personal shopper, enjoying that, but looking at potentially getting back to this whole like having a job thing, but not if I have to actually go to an office. That's for the birds.
So what is it like going from Hawaii to Indiana in the winter?
You know, I was on the mainland all year, but it wasn't much better because I was back in our former home base of Dallas. So I went from Hawaii, but I did, it's definitely when the other day when the wind chill was -9, that was an adjustment. It was, but I find it, as long as it's not wet or really windy, it's actually pretty tolerable. And so, and it's certainly a whole lot more affordable.
Oh, Matty, be careful. People die in that weather. I was like, what the hell was that? All right.
Let's not wish death on Matty.
No, I'm not wishing it. I told him to be careful. All right. Well, it's great to have you here. Now, I want to introduce Nate. So, Nate, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Yeah, I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas. We're up here in Northwest Arkansas, home of Walmart. I am a math teacher, mostly high school, some middle school. Something fun about myself, in addition to being a big old math nerd, I'm also a musician, and I like to bring music into my classroom. One of the ways I do that is with my collection of small, weird instruments. So if I have a class that's getting too loud, too crazy, and I want their attention, I just go over to my collection, grab a kalimba or my stylophone, and just start playing a little bit as a signal for them to refocus. It's a lot of fun, and it's a weird thing that I enjoy collecting, is these tiny instruments no one's ever heard of.
I love it. Have you ever tried to play that weird electronic horn that Jack Black plays on Jimmy Fallon?
I have not. I don't even know what you're talking about, because
Oh,
as
no.
we'll find out, this sounds like a pop culture reference, which is a giant blind spot for me. But yeah, no, I'm interested and I want one.
It is a toy. It's called I got to pull it up now. It's a saxaboom. So it's a toy called a saxaboom, but he legitimately plays real songs on it in concert when he does Tenacious D songs, and he's done it on Jimmy Fallon. It's a lot of fun.
Amazing. I'll have to check it out.
Absolutely, you could add that to your collection. It is great to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
For sure.
And Nathan McQuinn. Nathan, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Hello, I currently hail from Butte, Montana, so the very middle of Montana. It is cold here. It is the site of a very large Superfund site. One of our claims to fame is we have a pit of toxic water people pay to see.
Ooh.
I work in college student affairs. I oversee at the moment a residence hall system at a small technical college in Montana. And something fun about me is, even though I don't wear them as much as I want to anymore, I like collecting Hawaiian shirts, and I have over 100 Hawaiian/Aloha shirts.
Whoa.
I'm wearing my very first Hawaiian shirt for good luck today. I got her over 20 years ago, and I named her Genesis.
Oh my God, that's awesome. What prompted you to start that kind of collection?
Well, I got my first Hawaiian shirt. It was November of 2021. I was a freshman in college. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that was just, a little bit after 9/11. And for some reason, it made me feel good. It was a really tough time, obviously. And the collection just kind of grew from there.
Wow. I love it. Love it. Well, I am excited to have you here. I'm excited to have all of you here. Thank you for joining us. And before we go any further, I think it's time for Warm It Up, Chris.
It's time to warm it up on Trivial Warfare today. And there's only one person who can warm it up for the TWA, and that's Chris. And sometimes Jonathan.
Here we go. So I can tell you that today's Warm It Up, Chris was inspired by my friend and dungeon master, Kevin Thomas. Kevin is a fantastic guy, and we were playing our weekly D&D game this week, and he said, Jonathan, I have a Warm It Up, Chris that I've been meaning to send you, but I never have. And this morning I told him, well, do the work, put it together, send it to me, and it sounds good. This morning, I was inspired to do it myself, and I'm glad I did. I think it's a really good one. So this is going to be a music-based Warm It Up, Chris, and I see excitement in the room, which is a positive feeling. I am going to give you a list of nominees for Grammy Awards for the Best New Artist in different years. So I'm basically going to give you the 5 artists that were nominated for Best New Artist, and I want you to tell me who won out of the group of 5. If possible, you get extra credit, which you can redeem for a big smile at the end of the game. You can get extra, yes. You can get extra credit if you can name the year that those 5 nominees were and who the winner was. So you're trying to get who the winner was out of the 5 I give you, and if you can, the name of the year that it happened. Are you guys ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So Carmela, you're first up. Your nominees are Macy Gray, Kid Rock, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Susan Tedeschi.
I feel like this is like 1998. I'm going to say Britney Spears.
All right, and you think 98?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The correct answer is Christina Aguilera, and X-Tina won Best New Artist in the year 2000.
Wow.
So 98 was very close.
Year 2000.
Nate, your artists are Boyz II Men, CNC Music Factory, Color Me Bad, Mark Cohn, and Seal.
I'm just thrilled that you gave me multiple choice options for this Warm It Up, Chris, because if I had to generate these off the top of my head, it would go badly. With no knowledge whatsoever, let's say Seal.
Seal is not the correct answer. Did you have a year?
This could be any of a range of 30 years that I have no knowledge
Oh,
of.
no. You're a musician. You play music. All right. Does anybody have a clue?
It would be early 90s, so like 92.
92 on the nose.
I think it's Mark Cohn.
It is Mark Cohn. He was walking in Memphis. That's the walking in Memphis guy. Oh yeah, he beat Seal and Boyz II Men. That ain't right. That ain't right. Nathan, you're up.
Okay.
Chicago, Led Zeppelin, Oliver, the Neon Philharmonic, and Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Oh, boy. I know the best artist doesn't necessarily always win this category. And Chicago is one of my favorite bands. But I'm going to go ahead and guess the year's probably around 1970 or 71, so I'll go 71. But
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and guess Crosby, Stills, and Nash, just because I can't think of anything else.
The correct answer in 1970, which well done by you, is Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You got it, dude.
Nice.
They
Thank
beat
you.
out Chicago and Led Zeppelin that year. All right, Matty, I know you're hip and up with the new music lately.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the kids.
Yes. So your names are James Blake, Kendrick Lamar, Casey Musgraves, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, and Ed Sheeran.
Okay, so luckily with Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, that very much narrows that down. So let's see. That was when I was in law school. And I'm going to say that is 20, let's say it's 2012, I think, probably 2012 or 2013. And so 2012, and I believe that was Macklemore and Ryan Lewis that won.
The winner is Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Well done. In the year 2014. 2014, yeah. Carmela, back over to you.
Okay.
How about these artists? Drake, Justin Bieber, Esperanza Spalding, Florence and the Machine, and Mumford and Sons.
It's going to be late 2000s. So 2008, 2009. I'm going to go 2009. And I'm going to say Mumford and Sons.
This is a case of one of these kids doing their own thing. The winner was Esperanza Spalding.
No way I would have picked that.
She beat Justin Bieber, Drake, Florence and the Machine, and Mumford and Sons in the year 2011.
2011.
So you were close on the year. Unbelievable. You have to include that one in this list because how does that happen? She must have had a fantastic start to her career. Okay, Nate, You get Sheryl Crow, Ace of Base, Counting Crows, Crash Test Dummies, and Green Day.
That's an interesting assortment.
It's a good year.
Yeah, I don't even. I think Green Day, maybe I started hearing about them in like the early 2000s-ish. So maybe this is, I don't know, like 2003 or 4, but maybe it's not even close to that. But let's just say Green Day.
All right. Correct answer. Tuesday Night Music Club, Sheryl Crow. All she wanted to do was have some fun back in 1995.
Ow.
Yeah.
Green Day's been around since the early 90s.
I was about to say, so this one in particular helps me to realize you guys who are like a year or two early, what's probably happening is that the artists were active and you probably heard them, but the awards obviously came a little bit after. And in some cases, like Green Day points this out, they had a whole album before they hit with Dookie in the early 90s.
Great album.
94, I guess. But the award, they didn't come up for the award until they had a hit record. And so that was 95 when the award was.
Nice.
Nathan, Harry Chapin, Eagles, America, Loggins and Messina, and John Prine. You got 2 in a row of some of the older style ones. That was not intentional.
Oh, that's okay. I do better than older music.
Oh, wonderful.
My favorite in that group is the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
But I also I just listened to some America the other day, actually. But I'm going to go ahead and guess it might be somebody that, again, the best person doesn't always win. The most popular person doesn't always win. I'm going to go ahead and guess John Prine.
And
for
the year?
I'm going to guess they were a bit later in the 70s, I bet. I'm going to say 75.
All right. The correct answer went through the desert on a horse with no name.
Oh,
it is America. And it was 1973.
Oh,
1973. You're very close. All right, Matty. I got you here with Brandy, Alanis Morissette, Joan Osborne, Shania Twain, and Hootie and the Blowfish.
That is right up my alley. So that is all right smack dab in the mid-90s. We already covered 95 for Sheryl Crow. So the question is going to be, is this a year before or a year after that? Let's see. I'm going to guess that that's 1 year after. I'm going to say that that's the 1996 awards. And I am going to go off the board and say that Joan Osborne won.
All right. Well, you got the year on the money. It is 1996. Great job. And it's a shame someone wasn't there to hold your hand because it is Hootie and the Blowfish with Cracked Rear View. That was the best new artist in 1996. Yeah, the 95 and 96 lists, it's like, holy crap, that was a couple of good years. All right, Carmela, your list is Ashanti, Michelle Branch, Norah Jones, Avril Lavigne, and John Mayer.
Oh. So John Mayer was like, Your Body is a Wonderland was like really big my freshman year of high school. So this is 2002-ish. You said Ashanti. And the Avril Lavigne's debut album did come out 2002-ish as well. Because I had that album. I'm going to say it was Michelle Branch in 2002.
It's 2003. You're right there. In fact, when you said the album came out in 2002-ish, I thought you might add a year to it for the awards. Because you're right. And the award winner this time was Norah Jones.
Norah won everything.
Yeah, Norah had a huge year in the Grammys that year. Nate, you get Boston, the Starland Vocal Band, the Brothers Johnson, Dr. Buzzard's Original Savannah Band, and Wild Cherry.
I'm excited to announce that I've heard of Boston. And I, again, no reference. I think maybe this was like early 80s or late 70s, but I have very little reference. So since I've heard of them, I'll go with Boston, and I'll say like 1980 because that's what I'm going with.
You're pretty close on the year. It's 1977, and this one, the winner was the Starland Vocal Band.
Afternoon Delight.
I was thinking, is that the Afternoon Delight Band? I think it is.
I think so.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nathan, here are your 4. Fun, Alabama Shakes, Hunter Hayes, The Lumineers, and Frank Ocean.
Okay, I remember first hearing Fun probably around 2012 or so. One of their songs was a theme song for a WrestleMania main event, I remember.
Ooh,
so
we got a wrestling fan in the house. Okay.
That's the one part of sports I'm okay at.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, sports entertainment, I guess. I remember I work with a lot of students, and I remember maybe hearing this because they recommended the band to me. I'm going to go ahead and for a year, I'm going to say 2013. And for the band, I'm going to say the Alabama Shakes.
Well, Nathan, you're pretty good at this. The year was 2013, which, dang. The best new artist in 2013 was Fun.
It was fun.
It was fun,
okay.
yes.
Oh.
They were having fun. And the last one, Matty, Kimberlin. Let me pick a good one for you. I actually have 3 or 4 more, but I want us to get rolling here. Here we go. All right, Matty. Your last 5 are Feist, Ledisi, Paramore, Amy Winehouse, and Taylor Swift.
All right. So, gosh, this is not my jam. I'm going to say that's
More of a marmalade kind of guy.
a lady marmalade kind of guy. Let's go about 2008. Actually, that's probably late, but let's go with it anyway. 2008, and I'm going to say Amy. Oh, I think Feist won that year. I'm going to go with Feist.
You guys always impress me when you get the year dead on. It was 2008. Wow. And the winner was Amy Winehouse.
Oh.
Amy Winehouse took the award over Feist, Paramore, Taylor Swift, and Ledisi that year. But great job on the year. And that is your Warm It Up Chris question of the game. Thank you to Kevin Thomas for that concept. And good work out of all of you guys. That's well done.
That was a fun one. Thank you.
I enjoyed that tremendously. I think that's a good play-along one, too, for everybody. So, guys, this is going to be episode number 359. This is a patron-only episode. Huge shout-out to all of our patrons and everybody who's listening to this. You all are the absolute best. And I say this every week, and I hope in my heart, the reason that I keep saying it is it's not because it's a routine or anything. It's literally because I want to push positive thoughts into your ears. If I tell you every week you're the best and I love you and appreciate you, I hope that makes you feel a little bit better about your day, yourself, and whatever's happening in your life. So you are appreciated. I love you. I appreciate you. To everyone listening to this episode, and it's going to be a great episode. We have Carmela and Nate versus Matty and Nathan. I'm hosting, and it's time to play the game. All right, here we go, guys. Round 1, question 1. Your category is, would the real sandwich cookie please stand up? Please stand up. Here we go. Shout out to Matthew Burris for this question. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew.
The chocolate sandwich cookie we all love, Oreo, premiered in 1912, but it is an imitation knockoff of another cookie that was made by the Sunshine Company in 1908, and it took over the market due to Oreo using actual Hershey chocolate in its recipe at the time. Though it was the original, it is now seen as the knockoff brand. What was the name of this cookie?
We're locked in.
All right, Carmela and Nate are locked in. Nathan and Matty, you guys can talk out loud.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I remember when I was in high school, I worked at a little restaurant where we didn't use Oreos, but we used these, and it was like a 2-syllable word. And I remember I heard a podcast about it, and I bought these cookies, and it sounds like you might remember what it is.
I do, yeah. I didn't want to spoil. It's one of those things. There's satisfaction from pulling it from the back of your brain. But yeah, so these are going to be Hydrox cookies.
That I know it was 2 syllables. I had the D in my head for some reason, but I was off. So that's right.
Yeah, and actually, I heard that that this was a brand that died, and then somebody, like, as kind of a labor of love, decided to buy the trademarks and the recipes and like relaunched it as an online only brand or something like that a couple of years back.
Oh, that is some hipster stuff right there.
Yeah. So yeah, but that Sunshine Baking Company is Hydrox. I'm not as big as I once was, but I certainly retained some knowledge on cookies.
Right. Hey, Carmela and Nate, what were you thinking?
So Nate's like, I think it sounds like detergent, which it totally does. Yeah. Jonathan, I don't think this episode's come out yet. But you remember I asked an Oreo related cookie question last week when I was on.
Oh.
So this was fresh in my head. So not the same question, not really related.
Not related.
You know, and in researching Oreos, this definitely came up. We also said Hydrox.
Your correct
Which sounds
answer.
like a detergent.
It really does. That's
Your correct answer is the non-detergent Hydrox. It sounds chemical.
Sounds like it should be one of those dishwasher pods.
Exactly. It's no wonder that it didn't. When you have a choice between eating something called Hydrox and eating something called Oreo, even if you don't know what either of them are, I don't want the chemical.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't sound appealing to put in your mouth.
I think I remember from the podcast I listened to, they named it Hydrox because they wanted mothers to think it was clean, a cleaner product and whatnot.
What?
And
I love it.
It was a better cookie to dip with. Apparently, it had more of a harder chocolate shell, and it was a better dipping cookie for milk. Apparently,
That seems hard to believe, but we'll take your word
for it.
Cookie
came in.
All right. So, guys, round 1, question 2. Your category is rest in peace. No, it's rest in peace. And it's not an Undertaker question. Shout out to Mark Watson for this question, or thanks, perhaps his name was Watson Mark. The email address, he didn't sign his question, and the email address was Watson Mark. But it really felt like that might just be a flipping of last names and first names. But whether your name is Mark Watson or Watson Mark, thank you for this question. What percussionist and primary lyricist of the Canadian progressive rock trifecta Rush died in 2020 of implications from cancer? And you will notice that there are a lot of thank yous for questions in this game. We had a little bit of confusion as to who was hosting today, and I had to pull together a game in about an hour and a half this week. And I turned to the Army and all of the questions that you guys have been sending over the months and years. And so I want to just a huge thank you to everybody who's always submitting questions at Trivial Warfare. .com or oaksmediagroup.com. There are places where you can send questions in, and they are absolutely appreciated at all times.
We're locked in, by the way.
Carmela and Nate are locked in. Nathan and Matty, you guys can talk out loud.
Well, I remember the only person that's coming to head right now who I know it's not is Geddy Lee.
Right,
and there's another podcast I listen to where this band comes up probably more than any other band.
Wow.
And
which podcast is that?
Triviality.
Oh, we love Triviality.
They love their somebody once shared the pop collection of all three because people always forgot the drummer, the guitarist. I forgot which one. But the only one I can remember, I love classic rock, but I've never really been a Rush fan. And the only member I remember is Geddy Lee, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull one of the other two.
Well, I got you here. So you're right. Geddy Lee is the lead singer.
Yeah.
But the drummer is Neil, and I believe his last name is actually it's people
Neil Peart.
See it as Peart, but I think it's actually Peart or something to that effect. But yeah, Peart. Neil Peart was the drummer.
As soon as you said it, it triggered it for me. Thank you so much. You are helping us out today. Thank you so much.
All right, so you locked in with Neil Peart.
Yeah, and despite my lack of general music knowledge, I came in right away on this one because I learned to play the drums primarily by reading Rush sheet music, and that was a lot of Neil Peart.
Your correct answer is Neil Peart. Good job, everybody.
The guitarist that everyone always forgets is Alex Lifeson.
Mm-hmm.
Getty on bass, Neil on drums, Alex on guitar.
And shout out to our friends over at Triviality, Ken, Matt, Neil, and Jeff. We love those guys. And so, yeah, you can absolutely say the name of their show on this show. It is no problem.
They're a great gang. They're the ones that got me into trivia podcasts as the pandemic was starting, and it's been amazing.
Absolutely. They are a great gang. All right, round one, question 3. Your category is geography. Shout out to Andy Bezick for this one. It's short and sweet. Thank you, Andy. Short and sweet. Name 2 of the 3 largest landlocked countries in the world, and I will give you a hint. 2 of them are in Asia. 1 of them is in Africa. I want you to name 2 of the 3 largest landlocked countries in the world.
We're locked in.
There were 2 countries that came to my head, but the first one I typed out because it was easier to spell was Mongolia. I think that's a good size landlocked country that borders a large portion of both Russia and China. So its size is huge. And then as I was attempting to spell the second country, you said...
Yeah, I said Kazakhstan, which I'm pretty sure is the largest landlocked country in the world. So
I think so
that,
too.
That one's, we're definite on that. And then we were looking at and as far as Asia goes, I'm just trying to think of any other countries that are actually landlocked. I mean, I think you've got Georgia, and you've got some of the other stands.
Yep, and you've got like Nepal and some of those smaller countries, but not really any big countries I can think of.
Right. So Mongolia seems like a safe bet. And then over in Africa, I think that country is Ethiopia, because I think Ethiopia used to have access down to, I believe it's down to the Red Sea.
Yep.
But then once Eritrea gained independence, then I think they lost that access.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the other one. But given that I can't come up with anything else in Asia that's even close to the size of Mongolia, that I think going with the 2 Asian ones there, I think going with Mongolia and Kazakhstan is fairly safe.
I agree.
Okay, we'll lock in with Mongolia and Kazakhstan.
All right. And then Carmela and Nate, what were you thinking?
Nate, I'm kind of worried because I forgot that Ethiopia, I don't think, touches the ocean anymore. So we did go with Mongolia. For African, the first one that came to mind, without remembering that Ethiopia has lost a little bit more, was Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, because it's pretty big and it's definitely landlocked. So that's what we went with. And like I said, now I'm worried. Because we did talk about Kazakhstan.
So we do have one team that got it right. Your correct answers for landlocked countries are Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and Chad.
Ooh.
Chad.
Wow, Chad.
Democratic Republic of the Congo has a 25-mile coast on the Atlantic Ocean. It stretches and has a little arm that reaches out and touches the ocean, so it's not landlocked.
The arms.
Yeah.
I'm a GeoGuessr for not having enough Google Street View in Africa.
I once had a supervisor one time that was asking, he was a new supervisor, and he asked, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And under weaknesses, I put African geography because it's a weakness of mine. And he thought I was being silly, but I was completely serious. Got better since then.
I'm looking, I want to see, Chad is about 1.2 times bigger than Ethiopia. So that was, I did want to double check that as to what the difference was.
Stinking Chad. It's always Chad's fault.
He does sound like a villain in an 80s movie, doesn't he? It's Chad or Chaz. All right. At the end of the first round, the score is 30-20. Matty and Nathan have pulled out to an early lead. Round 2, question 1. Your category is business. Shout out to Leslie Hyman for this question.
Thanks, Leslie.
The 2022 Men's Final Four is to be held in New Orleans. On July 15th, 2021, Mercedes-Benz lost the naming rights to the Superdome. What entertainment company headquartered in Reno, Nevada, now owns the naming rights to the Superdome, where the Final Four will be held?
We're locked in.
Oh, Matty and Nathan are locked in early for the first time. Carmela and Nate, over to you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got nothing here either. I'm trying to come up with entertainment companies that would be headquartered in Reno.
I don't know. Entertainment companies. So like a television or production companies, or I don't know, Paramount. It's been buying up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they're based out of, though.
Is Reno a clue at all? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
Vegas adjacent. I don't.
Oh, if it's something Vegas adjacent, then you have Cirque du Soleil. I don't know what their company name is other than Cirque du Soleil.
MGM. I don't.
Yeah. Which leads me back to Paramount.
Yeah. I mean, I'd certainly be fine saying Paramount with really no other.
Yeah, I don't have anything else that's even an educated guess. So, and like I said, it's just because Paramount's been buying up everything.
Yeah.
So, all right, Paramount.
All right, they say Paramount. Matty and Nathan, what were you thinking?
So this was one that this was weird for the longest time because both the Superdome in New Orleans and the stadium in Atlanta, I guess the formerly known as the Georgia Dome, were both in the same division in the NFL in the NFC South, and they both were sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, which was just really, really weird. But I think I was watching the Sugar Bowl on New Year's and heard the football stadium in New Orleans not referred to any longer as the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, but as the Caesars Superdome. So I'm pretty sure the answer is Caesars, and that's what we locked in with.
The correct answer is Caesars Entertainment. Yes, it was Vegas adjacent with Reno. Absolutely. That was the clue to get you closer, for sure.
Pick one of the hundreds of casinos
Well,
in Las
so
Vegas.
the difference, though, is that Caesars is actually a huge conglomerate. It owns stuff all over the place. It's not
I didn't know that.
Not casino related at all. I'll when you guys are looking, or when you're thinking about one of your future questions, I'll maybe look up and see a few things that Caesars owns. I think people would be surprised. Okay, round 2. Question 2. Your category is beer. Shout out to Vinny Iyer for this question.
Thanks, Vinny.
When you look at a can or bottle of beer, the abbreviation ABV stands for alcohol by volume. But sometimes, especially at craft breweries, you will see a beer measurement called IBU. What does IBU stand for?
We're locked in.
Well,
All right, Carmela and Nate are locked in. Over to Matty and Nathan.
we were just about to lock in, just as the other team did. I'm lucky enough that I've been hosting trivia in a brewery, and they have the IBU on the menu. I remember I not only Googled it, but I also wrote a trivia question about it, and I hope I get the name of it wrong, because I think the B, I'm a little confused on what it might stand for, but I think it was International Bittering Units.
Okay. And is that what is that your answer?
We're locked in with that.
You're locked in
Yes,
with...
International Bittering Units.
Okay.
Locked in.
Carmela and Nate, what were you thinking?
I'm a terrible partner for you, Nate.
No, you're not. We just have the same blanks, it sounds like. So I immediately sent International blank, 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 blank units. And Carmela had a thought.
I was like, brew? Because I do frequently drink craft beer when I do drink beer, but bitter, like something revolving around the word bitter, makes way more sense than brew. But we said International Brew Units, and I know that that's probably not right now that I say it out loud.
International Brew Units is not correct. The correct answer is International Bitterness Units. I can't. I'm tempted, but
I didn't get it.
It's a team with the lead, and you're close, but you're not right on it. It's not a bittering.
Nope.
It's the flavor. It's not the act of making it more bitter.
Like I said, I had these different B words in my head of how to say bitter, and I said it wrong. Shoot, sorry about that. Sorry, Matty.
You got way closer than I would have.
That's frustrating because, like Carmela, I prefer craft beer, and like Nathan, I also have looked up IBU at a certain point or two. But I'm pretty sure I was drinking beer at the time.
This beer tastes really bad. What's wrong with this thing? It was a craft beer question for sure. All of you guys with your IPAs and whatnot.
There's more to craft beer than just IPA.
Actually, I agree. There are some great craft beers. I got nothing against it. I do have things against IPAs though. They're terrible.
Not being a drinker myself, I kind of watch from the sidelines on all the alcohol stuff. But it's really funny that going from the 90s where, you had that big ad campaign from Keystone of the bitter beer face to the point where nowadays bitterness is like this badge of honor that some people can like take the bitterest beer. I can endure this beer. It's a strange thing.
That's a good point.
IPAs came about, because they would transport on these trains across India. And by the time they got to their destination, it had rested for so long that a lot of that bitterness had gone away. But now we don't have to worry about that. So they're just drinking like that, just that straight bitterness all the time. I don't like IPAs, but there's tons of craft beer that is not IPA.
So it's only real beer if you hate yourself while drinking it.
So Carmela, the way you described it is really useful because the front end of that is that they made it extra bitter. They put extra hoppiness in it so that it would be good longer on these trips.
Yep.
That was and so we're stuck with that now. And damn you hipsters. All right. Round 2, question 3. This is a before and after question. And big shout out to Kelly McClure for this answer line. I was talking to her on Thursday night, and she says, Jonathan, I have a great before and after answer, but I don't know how to put it together. And she said it to me, and she said that her husband, Brian, had just laughed at her and said, no, that's not that good. I think it's great. And so you're stuck with it, guys.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you to Kelly. I want you to start with the person whose Wikipedia description names them as the, quote, inventor of the detective fiction genre. And I want you to finish with a movie character that was originally supposed to die early in a big movie until director J.J. Abrams changed his mind when a well-regarded Guatemalan-American actor signed on for the role. I will repeat because there's a lot there. Start with the person whose Wikipedia description names them as the inventor of the detective fiction genre. And finish with a movie character that was originally supposed to die early in a big movie until director J.J. Abrams changed his mind when a well-regarded Guatemalan-American actor signed on for the role. So just to be clear, the second half of that is the name of a character. So for those of you who are interested in the things that Caesars owns topic that I was talking about earlier, I want to make sure that I come back around to that because I do think that I might have been a little misleading in terms of what they own. What they own is a lot, but it is mostly entertainment brands. So Caesars owns Caesar's Palace, Harrah's, Horseshoe, Eldorado, Circus, Reno, and Tropicana. All of those are Caesar's properties.
Oh, so we've stayed in a Caesar's property before.
For sure.
Tropicana.
Absolutely.
You good with that, Nate? We're locked in.
All right. Nate and Carmela are locked in. Maddie and Nathan, you could talk out loud.
Okay, so we're just thinking of the second part, and I was just messaging that I think the person who did the detective one, I just bought a book of theirs and been reading it. He asked me if I knew anything about Star Wars, and I don't know enough about J.J. Abrams, where I thought he did Star Trek, but apparently he did a Star Wars movie. And so when he said that, I'm trying to go through characters that are actors and stuff that were in that. And I thought that the first one could be Edgar Allan Poe.
Poe, right.
And I think there's a Poe character in, is it Star Wars?
Yeah, I think there's a character named Poe Dameron, and that's where I was thinking it was Edgar Allan Poe, and that's why I was asking you about Star Wars, is because I believe that J.J. Abrams directed at least one of, I want to say the 7 through 9 episodes, the ones that came out most recently. And I think there is a Star Wars character named Poe Dameron, although I haven't watched anything since the original episodes 4 through 6. And well, I saw Rogue One, but anyway,
this movie's good.
Yeah. So, so I think there's a character named Poe Dameron, and that would fit with Edgar Allan Poe. So
yeah, I want to know Poe's last name, so I'm glad you got that. So I'm gonna let you give our final answer of hit with his last name.
Okay, so yeah, let's not speak too soon because maybe I've gotten this wrong as far as the name, but I think so. Yeah, we'll lock in with Edgar Allan Poe Dameron.
Okay, and Carmela and Nate, talk to me.
So I was like, well, first my autocorrect put it as just Abrams. So it's like, so let's talk about just Abrams movies. I'm like, not JJ, not just. So Star Wars came first to mind, even though he did direct a Star Trek, but he directed episode 7 for Star Wars. So Guatemalan actor made me think of Oscar Isaac, who I'm a huge fan of, and his name is Poe Dameron. And Nate, you said that you were thinking about Poe for the detective stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the names that came to mind. I think his character was Dupin or Dupin. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think that is right for the first credited detective fiction. So
Edgar Allan Poe Dameron.
All right. Well, guys, you picked up on all of those clues I laid scattered around in there. The correct answer is Edgar Allan Poe Dameron. Really, really great. I'm so glad that I didn't waste my breath with the Guatemalan part of that clue.
That was a great question.
Thank you. That was a fun one for sure. And I thought it was a great answer line. I couldn't wait to use it. All right, that's the end of the second round. Carmela and Nate have 30. Matty and Nathan have 50. It is 50 to 30. 20-point difference so far. And we go into round 3, where category 1, your category is science.
Science!
Arms. All right, here we go. Shout out to Dieter Handbicky for this question. Thank you, Dieter.
Thanks, Dieter.
Thank you, Dieter.
Sprockets. A hydrogen atom has 1 proton and no neutrons. An isotope of hydrogen with 1 proton and 1 neutron is called deuterium. What is the name for the light atom with 1 proton and 2 neutrons? So you went from hydrogen with no neutrons to deuterium with 1 neutron to what answer with 2 neutrons? If you get it right, you will be allowed to do the neutron dance. I'm just doing a neutron dance.
I'll accept that from Meow Meows, Nate.
Ooh, meow!
All right. So we're locked in.
Okay. Over to Matty and Nathan.
All right, Nathan, what do you got here?
Well, despite working at a tech school with many brilliant students that take science and chemistry and things I can't even wrap my head around, I am not a science person. Hydrogen. So could you spell deuterium, the one that starts with the D?
Sure. DEUTERIUM. And if there is a better pronunciation for it, I apologize. That's just me reading the word.
That one helped me if you could say it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Deuterium is right. So Nathan, I'm pretty sure that the hydrogen isotopes, the common ones, also known as heavy water, I'm pretty sure it's deuterium with 1 neutron, and then tritium, TRITIUM with.
I started doing the try in the chat before they locked in, because I thought maybe the do then the goes to try, and so I had that as an initial thought, and so I really like that.
Yeah, so we'll lock in with tritium.
Over to Carmela and Nate.
Yeah, as soon as Jonathan said deuterium, I started texting Carmela tritium before the question came out, and that was the question, and I believe that's the order, is deuterium then tritium.
So when you were reading the question, you know, like it's like 1 proton, and it made me think of that line in The Simpsons, like, you know, I have 3 kids and no money. I wish I had no kids and 3 money. It's one movie. So that's what I was thinking of when you wrote Tritium. And I was like, yeah, if you got meow meows, go for it.
That's a fabulous joke right there. I love it. The correct answer is Tritium. Both teams got it right. Great job.
Very nice.
I'm excited. All right, round 3, question 2.
Are you so excited?
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Pointer Sisters had 3 fantastic songs on one album back in like 84, and nobody seems to remember them, but they were the shiz. Loved them. Okay, round 3, question 2. Category is, wait, it comes from where? And shout out to David Abalafia for this question. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Surprisingly, the first restaurant to serve Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken was not in Kentucky, but in what western state? It's also home to the nation's first department store, the Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution. And if it wasn't clear, that is the name of that first department store.
We're locked, Jonathan.
Oh my goodness, Matty and Nathan are locked early. Over to Nate and Carmela.
Yeah, for Zion, that makes total sense, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, that's a national park, right? Or yeah, and that's in Utah, I believe.
Yeah, and that was I was starting to write down, the western states, and Utah was one of the ones I wrote in my list. So
that's my only in, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm good with Utah. Let's go with that.
Utah.
All right, their answer is Utah. Matty and Nathan, what are you thinking?
So while I am a little bit deficient sometimes in areas like beer, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I do happen to have some knowledge on the state of Utah. And one of the downtown institutions in Salt Lake City, right across from Temple Square, is ZCMI, or that mouthful that you said that started with Zion. And also, I believe it's on I-15, but maybe it's on I-80, you drive past the original first ever KFC location. And so those are both definitely in the state of Utah.
The correct answer is Utah. So here's what happened. Here's why Kentucky Fried Chicken was sold somewhere outside of Kentucky first. Before he opened his own restaurant, Colonel Sanders convinced his friend Pete Harmon to put his chicken recipe on the menu at his Salt Lake City restaurant. When Sanders returned to Salt Lake City a few weeks later, people were lined up on the street to eat the chicken. And, of course, the Zion Cooperative Mercantile Institution was founded by Mormon leader Brigham Young. So, yeah, he put his chicken on the menu at a restaurant in Utah, and people were lined up around the block to get it. So he's like, hey, maybe I have something here.
Well, if you have spent any time with Utah cuisine, it's kind of a low bar, and so the chicken didn't necessarily have to be that good.
Wow. Damning with faint
Jonathan,
praise.
I know it's called flavor text, but I think that's the first time it's actually made me hungry. Sorry.
What are you sorry for? That's brilliant. That might be a show title. I love that. I know it's called flavor text, but
welcome to flavor text.
Oh, dang, that's good. That's better for a name. All right, last question in the first half of the game. Your category is televisiones. TV. All right, Ted Lasso's fictional English premiere team shares its name with a real part of South London and what United States state capital?
We're locked in.
All right, Nathan and Matty are locked in. Over to Nate and Carmela.
All right. So I haven't seen it yet. I know I'm behind. But state capitals, and if it's a part of London, then that hopefully would narrow it down.
You would think.
It's not Montpelier. It's not Albany. It's not.
It's Salt Lake City, guys.
Yeah, it's absolutely Salt Lake City. It should totally be Tallahassee because that's totally a British word.
Oh, those
Atlanta,
native
Charleston.
British.
And I know it's a good show. Everybody says that, and I know I'm supposed to watch it. I just haven't done it yet.
I mean, Albany, Trenton, Dover.
Ooh, Dover could be it. Dover's definitely English.
Dover sounds like a thing.
Richmond. I knew the capital of Ohio once.
That's what happens. Your brain gets so full of more complicated stuff, and it's just so full of things that are way harder to remember that the basic things you take for granted just disappear. It's like, what's your middle name? Oh, I don't know. Let me go look.
Baton Rouge.
Harrisburg, Charleston, Raleigh, Atlanta. I mean, I think Dover's the best thing I'm coming up with. That is the capital of Delaware, right?
I think so. Delaware's not that big.
I think it is.
Unless it's Wilmington. It could be Wilmington now that I think about it, but Dover sounds good.
I think it's
yeah.
Remind me to tell you a story after you guys answer.
Well, now I want to get to the story, so should we still lock in with Dover?
Yeah. We could sit here all day and go through capitals, and I don't, it would be throwing in a dartboard for me. So, yeah, Dover.
Okay, Matty and Nathan, you guys locked in early. Talk about it.
This is 100% Nathan.
Yes, I am a big Ted Lasso fan. I didn't get into it till late, but it is a movie it's a TV show that really impacted my ability to get through this last year, which has been really rough with things going on. It's really a good show.
Wow.
But Ted Lasso, he goes from a college team in Kansas to a team, and they said the name. It is Richmond. It's the Richmond AFC team. Their mascot's the Greyhounds, and the answer is Richmond.
Is that Richmond?
You did.
The correct answer was said by the other team, but they didn't go with it. It is Richmond for AFC Richmond. Good job, Nathan.
Good job.
Nice.
It's a great show. I know people say it all the time, but really, if you can watch it, I recommend it. It's a very fun, good show.
It seemed I watched the first couple of episodes, and I haven't really gotten clicked into it. It's really cute and it's nice, but it also seems really unrealistic to the point where it's like, come on, dude, come on, you're not being a real person.
Yeah, I've read articles about how that toxic positivity can be bad sometimes, but I love the show myself, and it's I recommend it. People can't. There's a lot of people that are like bullying people to watch it and make people feel bad for not watching it yet. So Carmela, watch it on your own terms when you're ready to. It's a great show.
All right, so guys, at the end of the first 3 rounds, Matty and Nathan are having a really great game. They have 80 points. Nate and Carmela are not far behind. They have 50 points. And we're going to go into a midpoint in the category of food. Food.
Finally, something for me.
Yes. Now, big thank you to Elise Dunmore for this question. I'm sure people are surprised when they're hearing their name in this episode. They're like, man, I submitted that question 3 months ago. You did, and it was awesome. So it's getting used. There's a little bit of information for you up front here, so don't get too caught up in you're not listening for the question part yet. This is just taking the information. A staple food is a specific crop or type of food eaten routinely and in such quantities that it constitutes a large part of a person's diet and provides sufficient energy and nutrition to the people eating it. Corn, rice, and wheat are the 3 most consumed staple foods in the world, making up 51% of the world's total caloric intake. Good God. Yams and sweet potatoes, 2 different root vegetables, are separate on the list of the world's top 10 staple foods. For 5 points each, I want you to name 4 of the 5 other types of staple foods on the list of the world's most consumed staple foods. And shout out to the bonus brigade. Bonus brigade! I will give you 2 bonus points if you can name all 5. So on the top 10 most consumed staple foods, I gave you corn, rice, wheat, yams, and sweet potatoes. I want you to name as many of the other 5 as you can. Good luck. You guys have about 2 minutes. All right, 30 seconds. I need some answers.
We're locked in when we're ready.
All right, Matty and Nathan are locked in. Nate and Carmela, you don't have any time to talk, really. I need you to give me an answer in 30 seconds.
Well, that's fine, because we just came to an answer. So.
Well, that works out beautifully. So tell us what you were thinking.
So I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease a couple years ago and had to do something called the autoimmune protocol diet for a little while, and you have to cut out like grains and pseudo grains. So I was trying to like remember what all of these things were. And there's a lot of stuff that you have to cut out and slowly introduce back in. So we landed on oats, potatoes, because potatoes I think are different from sweet potatoes, and yams, beans, chickpeas, and peanuts.
Okay, thank you. Matty and Nate, then, what were you thinking?
Well, we went through a lot of those same staple foods, and a couple that we thought of but kind of threw out were barley, quinoa, sorghum. I don't know anything about sorghum, but I know it's a thing. But we ended up landing also on potatoes, oats, soybeans, rye, and lentils.
A lot of answers around the board here. Your correct answers are cassava.
Oh, of course.
Sorghum.
Ah.
Plantains.
Oh.
Potatoes.
Hey, everyone's on the board.
And I might have given Carmela and Nate credit for beans until Matty and Nate were specific and said soybean. Soybean is a correct answer. So soybean, potato, sorghum, plantains, and cassava. That means Matty and Nathan got 2, and Carmela and Nate got 1.
Our entire conversation was me just texting questions like, what are lentils?
Like, that's a kind of bean, pretty sure.
What's the insane clown policy thing? How do what work?
How do magnets work?
How do magnets work?
Flipping magnets, how do they work?
All right, that means at the end of the first half, after the midpoint, the score is 90-55. Matty and Nathan are in the driver's seat. Round 4, question 1. Getting started with the second half of the game. Your category is musicals. What Canadian musical was nominated for 7 awards at the 71st Tony Awards in 2017, but only won once for Best Director of a Musical due to the dominance of Dear Evan Hansen during those same awards?
We're locked in.
All right, Matty and Nathan are locked in. Carmela and Nate, over to you.
Just trying to think of musicals from that time. I threw out Waitress as a thought.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's based off of a movie that came out in the mid-2000s. I'm not sure if it's Canadian.
Yeah.
I know.
That information doesn't do much for me.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I think Hadestown came out around that time, too. That's why I threw that out there. So I honestly don't know. Musicals are not my strong suit. I mean, I know of them. I know quite a few of them, but they tend to be older, the ones that I know really well. So I'm not sure.
Do you know, just thinking about Waitress, because again, I don't know like exactly the list of musicals that were out then. There was a famous singer, I think, that was associated with the like original performance of Waitress.
Sarah Bareilles.
Any chance she's like Canadian or
Hey.
that you know anything else about?
Actually, that's not bad. I'm not quite sure where she's from. I mean, I've heard her speak, so she's definitely either Canadian or American.
I mean, not that the lead would be indicative of that.
Funny, you don't sound Canadian.
Funny, the Canadians sound a lot like Americans most of the time. I mean, there are distinct differences, but, you know, I'm okay with Waitress, honestly. The time frame feels right. Yeah. And it was a very well-received musical, and I can see it having a lot of nominations. But again, you know, if it came out the same year as Dear Evan Hansen, of course, Dear Evan Hansen's going to win everything, just because it was so popular that year. I'm cool with Waitress.
All right, let's go with it.
All right, Carmela and Nate have locked in with Waitress. Matty and Nathan, talk about it.
So first of all, on Sarah Bareilles, I don't know if she's from California, but I know she got popular when she was going to college at UCLA. So
she is from Eureka, California. I lived in Humboldt County for a while, and she is their claim to fame. So.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Well done.
But I know of exactly one Canadian musical, and that was the one that is about a tiny town's airport where people got stuck on 9/11, and the townspeople took them in and welcomed them, and so on and so forth. And I've never seen it, but that musical is Come From Away, and so that's what we locked in with.
All right. So Matty and Nathan say Come From Away. Carmela and Nate said Waitress. The correct answer is Come From Away.
Oh, good job, Matty.
I wouldn't have gotten that at all.
That was all him.
I heard some podcast about it several months ago, and it is, as Nathan noted in our chat, that is quite the premise for a musical. It really is.
I had the good fortune, so I have season tickets to the theater for the Broadway traveling companies or the off-Broadway traveling companies that come around to Jacksonville. And last month was Come From Away, and it blew me away. It is so freaking good that I wanted to write a question about it just so I could recommend that everybody find a way to see it. And it is, if you're an Apple Plus person, it is free on Apple Plus to watch the Broadway recording of it. Go do it. It's so freaking good. The music's outstanding. It's just wonderful. And especially, I think if you're a positivity person, if you like Ted Lasso, I think this is your kind of thing too. It's
on my list already.
It makes you smile, it makes you laugh, and yet you can't help but cry at many different points all at the same time. It's wonderful. All right. So that's enough of Jonathan promoting things that he doesn't make money for. Round 4, question 2. Your category is You Beat Your Ass. Beach, not beat. Beach.
Oh, so you beat your ass?
You don't beat your ass.
I'll kick your ass. I'll kick your ass. I'll kick my own ass. Everybody here.
You beat your ass. And shout out to Jackie LaFave for this question. Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
At 8.69 miles in length, or 12 kilometers for the metric community, which country, home to some pretty large lakes, has bragging rights to having the largest freshwater beach? And shout out to the bonus brigade, that I can give you an additional 2 points if you can name the beach. You guys have 2 minutes.
We'll go ahead.
We're locked in.
All right, Matty and Nathan are locked in. Carmela and Nate.
All right. Like I said, I'm cool with it being Canada. There's a beach that starts with a W that I cannot remember its name. So I'm sitting here like writing things down like wasabi. I know that's obviously not it.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be much help in this W name.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought of Wiseau, but no, that's Tommy Wiseau. That's not it. That's the disaster artist guy.
Oh, hi. Hi, Carmela.
Oh, hi, Mark. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. But it's that kind of like flow. It's was something, but I don't know, and I'm gonna be sad because he's gonna say it and be like, yeah, that was it.
That was it.
But I like I said, Canada, I think is the right answer. Sure. Tommy Wiseau Beach.
All right. They've said Tommy Wiseau Beach. Matty and Nathan, what did you guys come up with?
Yeah, so we were considering countries with a lot of lakes and with large lakes, and so we thought about your Chad and Tanzania and Switzerland and things like that. But Nathan said, and I agreed, that it seemed like the type of thing that could be Canada. Canada has a ton of large lakes, the Great Slave Lake, Great Bear Lake, etc. We had absolutely no idea on the name of the beach, and so we settled in with Son of a Beach.
I see what you did there.
Which I did not realize was a joke until after he said it was a joke.
Oh, no.
You're so wholesome, Nathan.
Son of a beach.
I'm usually not.
It doesn't translate in text very well because it looks like Sonofa Beach.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh, you got to spell it out. All right. Well, I didn't intend to do 2 Canada questions in a row. It just happened to be that way. I noticed as I started writing, or as I started reading, I was like, uh-oh. The answer is Canada. Good job picking up on the large lakes clue. And the bonus was Wasaga Beach. Wasaga Beach. Wasaga!
So close.
It's closer with wasabi than I was with myself.
Yeah, you really were close.
If the locals there don't go with the portmanteau name and call it Wasabi for Wasaga Beach, why are we even doing this?
Unbelievable. All right, here we go. Round 4, question 3. Your category is sports memories.
Sports memories.
Shout out to Tiffany Candler for this question. Thank you, Tiffany.
Tiffany.
A psychological effect that is related to an individual's ability to accurately reflect memories shares a name with the leader of a nation that utilized a worldwide sports competition to create unity in his country. Bonus, I want you to name that psychological effect, and I will give you 2 bonus points if you can tell me what sport was played during this event.
We're locked in.
Carmela and Nate are locked in. Matty and Nathan, over to you. Talk it out.
So there is a psychological effect that involves believing that things happened that never did, particularly very large public things, that comes from a belief from a lot of people that Nelson Mandela died a lot earlier than he did, and like they thought that they actually saw his funeral or what have you. So that's the Mandela effect. It should be about Nelson Mandela. And then sports wise, we were just kind of not sure. I'm not a good movie guy at all, but I thought that this maybe was the rugby thing from Invictus. And so we decided to lock in with Nelson Mandela and rugby for the bonus.
All right, you said, and I'm asking for the name of the effect, just to be clear.
Oh, Mandela effect, then.
There we go. And then Carmela and Nate.
Yeah.
We went with Mandela effect. Same background. I think this is the Berenstain versus Berenstein Bears phenomenon where people don't remember how to spell, and it becomes a pop psychological effect. And we had no information other than soccer is popular in other parts of the world. At least I didn't, and I suggested soccer, and that's what we went with for the sport.
All right. Your correct answers are the Mandela effect. Good job, everybody. And the sport was rugby, as portrayed in Invictus. Good job, Matty.
Hey.
Matty is saving me today. He is doing tremendous.
My knowledge base is wide and extremely shallow.
At the end of the 4th round, Matty and Nathan have 122. Nate and Carmela have 75. And it seems like a big gap, but anything can happen in round 5, where your first question is in the category of At the Movies. And I'm taking a page from Chris's book this time and giving you a full round of questions written by trivia writing wunderkind Clint Givens. Clint Givens submits a lot of questions, and most of the time they are fantastic. So we have a round of questions from Clint. Here's the first one. What 1980s movie musical features Steve Martin in a supporting role as the motorcycle-riding, leather jacket-clad, abusive, and sadistic Orin Scrivello, DDS?
We're locked in.
Carmela and Nate locked in fast. Over to you, Matty and Nathan. You could talk out loud.
Yeah, so I've never seen this, but I've definitely seen commercials and clips and whatnot, and that is Little Shop of Horrors.
Bop shoo bop. Carmela and Nate, what were you thinking?
So I told you that I do know some musicals, but they tend to be older. This is definitely Little Shop of Horrors.
Bop shoo bop. Little Shop of Horrors. It is Little Shop of Horrors. Great job. And yes, Orin Scrivello, the dentist, is the first victim of the malevolent alien plant, Audrey 2.
And to be fair, he had it coming.
Oh, yeah. And Matty, go watch it, bro. It's good.
Yeah, I've seen like 8 movies in my life.
Oh, my God.
Somehow he's doing just fine without them.
I know, but they're so good.
Every time I watch a movie, if I actually sit down and watch a movie, I really enjoy it. It's just, I don't know if it's like I can't bring myself to invest, 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, but it's just never a thing I actually sit down and do.
Well, then you should start going to the theater. Then it's more of an experience. Okay, round 5, question 2. Your category is, it's about Clue, but not the movie.
Aw.
Yeah, sorry. If you're an American adult, there's probably information about you stored in the Clue database. The C stands for comprehensive, the L for loss, and the E for exchange. What ING word does the U stand for?
What was the L part again?
Loss. Comprehensive, loss, something, and exchange. Clue.
We're locked in.
All right, Nathan and Matty are locked in. Over to Nate and Carmela.
There I am, like, trying to write a freaking novel when I can just talk to you out loud and it'd be way easier. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is insurance related. If it's got information about everybody, and you said underwriting, which would make sense because, especially if we're talking about loss, it's the risk assessment for each individual, and you are underwritten to assess that loss. So I would say underwriting, definitely.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Carmela and Nate have said underwriting. Matty and Nathan, what are you saying?
We basically came up with the same idea at the same time where I've never heard of this, but with loss, we both kind of thought this is probably an insurance thing. And so we went with underwriting as well.
The correct answer was given by both teams. It is underwriting. Good job.
Nice.
Yeah. I might have to quit my company if I got it wrong.
You both work for a large insurance company in Florida, do you not?
No, I don't. I work for a staffing company that's worldwide.
Jonathan has not worked for that company in some time, but he did, and that's where we met. So.
Yeah. No, I had left there before I started Trivial Warfare, so it's been quite a long time
Just
now.
before. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a little flavor text here. Underwriting, creating and pricing insurance policies. So the Clue database used by auto and property insurers includes information about claims history and is shared across companies to help underwriters analyze insurance risk. So that's where that information is. Round 5, question 3, the last of the Clint Givens round. And this one, I have a feeling, is either guaranteed to make you feel really good about yourself for knowing it or really bad for not. One of the two is going to happen, but it's going to feel
awesome.
It's going to feel like you could get it, but you may not. 3 men share the same first name. That first name is Barry. The first is the director of The Natural, Good Morning Vietnam, and Rain Man. The second Barry is the director of the 1990s Addams Family movies, Get Shorty, and Men in Black 1, 2, and 3. The third is the director of Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, and the Amazon series The Underground Railroad. I want you to give me the last name of any one of these men for 10 points, and for 2 bonus points, or 1 bonus point each, give me the other 2 last names.
And we don't need to specify which of those 3 we are naming, correct?
That's right. I just need one of these last names.
Yeah, that's fine. We can go with that. We're locked in.
All right, Carmela and Nate are locked in. Over to Matty and Nathan.
I think we got our first one pretty easy. We both said Barry Levinson, and he didn't know what movie it was. I just re-listened to an episode of Trivial Warfare where the Warm It Up Chris was about movies, and I learned it from that time. I think it was named 3 things from like a musical or a movie made from a musical, and the answer was Addams Family, and I think that's where it came from. And so our first one was Levinson.
Okay.
And then I'm pretty sure that was Sonnenfeld. I'm scared. I might have got these names wrong, but I think the first one for The Natural is Levinson. And then we have Sonnenfeld for the Addams Family. That's the one I learned from it.
Okay.
Third one we didn't know. And so we went with, we're going to go with Levinson, Sonnenfeld, and I think we might just go for a Lucky Johnson.
Okay. Levinson, Sonnenfeld, and Johnson are what Matty and Nathan have answered. Carmela and Nate, over to you.
I only know one of these guys. I know who directed Good Morning Vietnam, and that was Barry Levinson. The other ones I had no idea. So I was like, well, maybe Barry Sanders got bored in his retirement and started directing. But we didn't go with that either. So we said we ended up going Levinson and then throwing out a Lucky Smith and Lucky Johnson.
All right. Your correct answers are Barry Levinson. Good job. Everybody gets 10 points for that. Barry Sonnenfeld was also correct for 1 additional point. And then Barry Jenkins. Barry Jenkins directed
so close to Johnson.
Barry Jenkins.
What was it? Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, and The Underground Railroad were Barry Jenkins. Good job out of everybody there.
Good job, Nathan.
This was a very good round for everybody.
They got 11 points for that one.
Yeah, at the end of the 5th round, Matty and Nathan have 153 points. They are not taking their foot off the gas. But Nate and Carmela have jumped all the way to 105. It's 153 to 105 going into the 6th round. In your 6th round, first category. Oh, and thank you again to Clint Givens. I loved all of those questions.
Thanks, Clint.
They were great questions.
Yep.
I wanted to wait until after the round was over to see whether we should thank him.
And now you know.
That's right.
All right, round 6, question 1. Your category is American history. And a shout out to Jay Hyatt for this one.
Thanks, Jay.
This is going to be a little bit of thinking. All right, so put your thinking caps on. Here we go. Not counting Joe Biden, there are currently 5 living former U.S. presidents, which is tied for the most at any one time in history. There have also been 6 times in U.S. history where there have been no living former U.S. presidents other than the current. Who was the president the last time that this happened? So I want you to tell me, who was the last president in office when there were no living former U.S. presidents? And there is a bonus opportunity here. Shout out to the bonus brigade for 2 bonus points, not counting George Washington and John Adams, who were 2 of the 5, because obviously there were no formers. Name any of the other 3 presidents for whom this happened. So if you can give me the right answer, you get 10. And if you can name any of the other 3, not including Washington or Adams, you get another 2 points. Teams are deep in thought on this one.
All right, we're going to go ahead and lock in.
All right, Matty and Nathan are locked in, and Carmela and Nate, you have just a little bit longer to talk it out.
I'm pretty confident with Truman being the last one, but thinking about the other ones, like I said, the only reason I'm bringing up Madison is because Adams and Jefferson died the same day, and of course, Washington was already gone by that point, so that would have been a completely cleared field.
Love that phrasing. And yeah,
I know.
I agree with you.
You know what? They died like 300 years ago. It's fine. Or 200 years ago.
Too soon. Yeah, and I had mentioned Harrison, who I believe was followed by, I can never quite remember. I think it's Tyler, unless it's Taylor, but I think it's Tyler. So that is an option. And then we had discussed whether or not Johnson would be one.
Yeah, Andrew.
Depending on if Buchanan would have still been alive. I have the sense that he was older, but
yeah, I'm not sure who was still around at that point, because that's mid 1800s. Yeah, I'm not sure who else would have still been around at that point. I don't have any inklings one way or another for those 3 that we have pulled up.
I like Madison for the bonus, and then I mean, yeah, I just off what I've gone through, I would maybe say Tyler and Andrew Johnson, but yeah, and I'm tending towards those earlier ones, right? Because like, I feel like your chances go up the later back you go.
Right. So you want to say Truman and Madison and see what happens?
Is it just one bonus, or are we listing?
Yeah, we just need to grab one of them. Any one of them.
I do need an answer.
Oh, then for sure, yeah, let's go with that.
Truman and Madison.
All right, Truman and Madison are your answers. Matty and Nathan, what were you guys thinking?
We were considering both Truman and LBJ. Obviously, LBJ had Kennedy die before him, but there was the question of both Truman and Eisenhower and whether either of them survived all the way through LBJ's presidency. And we weren't really sure there, but we ended up catching on to the same idea with Truman. Obviously, FDR was gone, and Warren Harding was gone, and so it was a matter of Coolidge and Hoover. They both seemed like they were older, and so we went with Truman as well. And then for the bonus, we thought that Coolidge came in after Harding and Wilson, who both died, and we know that Teddy Roosevelt died fairly young, and Taft was fat, so he probably died too, right? I don't know. But so we went with Cal Coolidge as our bonus answer.
All right. Your correct answers on this question. Richard Nixon was the last sitting president to be in office with no living presidents.
Wow. I didn't think it was that late in the century.
LBJ was the only former living president until for a little while during Nixon until January 22nd, 1973. That's when LBJ died. So for about a year and a half, Nixon was in office with no former living presidents. When Nixon first took office in 1969, there were three presidents, former. Eisenhower, Truman, and Johnson were all alive. Eisenhower died in 69, Truman in 72, Johnson in 73. Now, the bonus is prior to Nixon, this happened 5 other times. Washington had no former presidents. Adams was there for 1 year after Washington died in 1799, so that's why he was one of them. The other 3 were Ulysses S. Grant, who was in office for about a year and a half after Andrew Johnson passed away. Teddy Roosevelt for about 9 months after Grover Cleveland passed away. And Herbert Hoover for just over 2 or just almost 2 months after the death of Coolidge. So your correct bonus answers would have been Hoover, Roosevelt, or Grant. I don't think I'm awarding any points on this question.
That was a good question, but a hard one.
It was a challenging question. It's the 6th round.
It's interesting. The trend there seems to be that it's the president, not the next president after one dies in office, but the one after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had Nixon because I knew that Johnson, the only reason he didn't run for president again was because he did a study to see how long it would take for him to die. And they said he would die within the next 4 years or so. And that study was right on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Other than, his initial campaign for a second term went awfully.
Yeah, that's I remember that too.
He did retire.
That was the reason that I knew.
It was a Vietnam thing. People were like, nah. All right, round 6, question 2. Your category is science.
Science.
Shout out to Jay Eccles for this question. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Originally known as the Clinton Engineer Works in the 1940s, what Department of Energy facility located in Tennessee is responsible today for, among other missions, the production of radioactive isotopes used in the medical field for imaging, cancer treatment, and more? It produces 70% of the world's californium-272. I want you to name this facility that used to be called the Clinton Engineer Works. Got my deep thinkers thinking in round 6.
We're locked in.
All right, Nathan and Matty are locked in. Carmela and Nate, you can talk out loud.
I mean, I just threw out like the one facility that I think is a thing. I mean, I've heard of Fermilab.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told you the only thing I remember about Clinton Engineer Works is that's where they did the Manhattan Project. That was the production facility for that. And I'm wondering if they renamed it for any part of Tennessee. Fermilab is not a bad guess. And if I can't think of anything, that's what we're going to go with. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, the Tennessee clue was not doing anything for me.
I'm sorry.
I'm grabbing at anything I can in there. Oh, gosh. It'd be hilarious if they just renamed it Manhattan. This is Manhattan, Tennessee.
That's the way I would get to a geography clue about Manhattan, was to include Tennessee.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an answer for this, so I'm cool with going with Fermilab, so we'll at least have an answer that it sounds like an educated guess.
It sounds good to me.
All right, we're going to say Fermilab.
All right, you're saying Fermilab. Matty and Nathan, tell me what you were thinking.
Wide but very shallow knowledge. I know that there is a New Deal era facility in Tennessee. I believe it's in Tennessee that is called Oak Ridge. And so, knowing nothing else whatsoever about it, we decided to giddy up papa mau mau with Oak Ridge.
Papa mau mau. The correct answer is the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I will accept Oak Ridge. Good job, Matty and Nathan.
That was all Matty again. Thank you.
That's one of those things that has come up a few times, but Tennessee, I added Tennessee specifically to try and nail that down for everybody. I don't know. It seems like I didn't get quite good enough there for you, but I was hoping that both teams would get that.
Did I at least remember the Manhattan Project thing correctly?
I don't know, but I think yes. I think yes. All right, last question. Oh, the sixth round. Your category is languages. There are 7 countries around the world that have Portuguese as their sole official language. 2 of these are Portugal and Brazil. For 10 points, please name any of the other countries on the list. Any country that has Portuguese as its sole official language that is not Portugal or Brazil. And bonus brigade, chance for bonus points. Bonus brigade! 2 bonus points if you can successfully name a second country on the list. You have 2 answers. You'd have to get 2 answers right to get the bonus points. I can give a hint if that is something both teams want.
I'm good with that one.
Oh, well, lucky you.
Whoa.
If they want it, we can take you.
That's a really stud move right there. It's like, I don't need a hint. I can do this.
If they'd like it, we can take the hint as well if they'd like it.
I have some thoughts. I think we can just go with it.
Okay, cool.
No hint. I must admit, I'm surprised. I almost just included the hint automatically.
I mean, I can't follow a power move like that by asking for the hint, right?
I'm sorry.
Right, it doesn't make you feel good about yourself, does it?
We're locked in.
All right, Nathan and Matty are locked in. Over to Carmela and Nate.
All right. So my first thoughts is, of course, this is going to be someplace that was heavily colonized by Europe.
Most of my geography knowledge comes from playing GeoGuessr, and I'm just really trying to remember a recent time that I ended up in a country, an African island, where there was Portuguese writing. And that is what my brain is working on right now, to remember which western, I think, island off the west coast of Africa I was in. It's a country I've definitely heard of. My first thought was Sierra Leone. I don't actually know that. I don't think that's an island.
I don't think it's an island either.
Although, that does have...
Is Angola an island over there?
Angola is, I don't think, an island either. What are the...
I know it's a place.
Can confirm. Angola is a place.
Cape Verde. Is that's either the country or the capital?
That sounds like a capital.
Man, about 2.5 hours ago, I knew all the African capitals.
Trivial Warfare is a bit of a marathon when it comes to trivia.
Also, we tell this to a lot of people, your IQ drops about 10 when you sit in front of the microphone. So, and I think mine has become cumulative as many times as I've sat in front of this microphone.
Another one thing that comes to mind, there's a country called, I want to say Benin, Benin, and I just I think I know that its capital is Porto Novo, which... again, is that port or is that Portugal? I don't know. It's not Spanish, but it sounds like Spanish.
Yeah. And I think I think you would say Benin or somewhere in that, but I'm cool with that. I mean, at least it's an answer.
That's another area, direction my brain was going. I don't think I'm going to remember this island I was on.
Well, we've named 2 countries that are actually countries. And that's Benin and Angola.
I'm fine with going with those.
All right. So that's what we're going to say.
All right. And Matty and Nathan, your turn. Talk to me.
I think we were identifying, former Portuguese colonies as well. And the first one that came to both of our minds, I think we typed it almost at the same time, was Angola. So Angola was the first answer we came up with.
Well, now I feel better.
And for the bonus one, we came up with Mozambique.
So very, very short story there. I was a missionary in Japan, and there were a lot of Brazilian people in central Japan. And so I learned to speak Portuguese while I was there as well. And there was a missionary, a female missionary, who was from Japan and had originally gone out and started serving a Portuguese-speaking mission, and ended up coming back to Japan when one of her parents died, and so she ended up finishing out in the same area that I was in, and she had been serving originally in Mozambique, and so that's my connection to the Portuguese there.
Wow. That's like a legitimate connection. I love it. So your correct answers, everybody wants to know. There are 7 countries with Portuguese as their only official language: Portugal and Brazil, Guinea-Bissau, which I'm pronouncing horribly, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde would have been
it is a
correct
country.
answer. It is an island country off the coast of Africa, yes. Another island country off the coast of Africa is Sao Tome and Principe. That would have been a correct answer. And Mozambique, a correct answer. Couldn't deny Matty after he had his missionary story. And last but not least, Angola is a correct answer. So
Well done,
Nate and Carmela get 10, and Matty and Nathan get 12.
Sorry, Cape Verde really sounded like a capital.
I mean, I was convinced.
And it's another one of those countries, kind of like Cote d'Ivoire, that's known a lot by its actual native Portuguese name of Cabo Verde.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, if I had remembered that's what I read, it was Cabo, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was the native name for it, and so, yep.
And just so you guys know, a person or nation that speaks Portuguese is a Lusophone. Lusophone.
Lusophone.
Yeah, that ran across that there. Okay, now it's time for the Gauntlet. Matty and Nathan have been putting on a clinic. They have 185 points. Nate and Carmela are by no means out of it. They have 125 points, which would have been a good score on most days. 185 to 125. I'm going to need your wagers in the category of Betty White. And rest in peace to Betty White, obviously just passed away recently. 185 to 125.
Our wager is locked in.
All right, Matty and Nathan have locked in their wager. Carmela and Nate, if you guys need to talk out loud, you can.
I think we're going to be good. Yeah, our wager's locked in.
All right, we have 2 wagers locked in. It is time to figure out who's going to win this game. Here we go. The Betty White Gauntlet. You knew it was coming. I had to do it. Question 1. Betty White says the love of her life was what man whom she met when she was a guest on a game show he was hosting?
We're locked in.
Yeah, Carmela, I'm fine with going with your suggestion. I don't have anything here.
Okay, then we are also locked in.
All right. Question 2 in your Betty White Gauntlet. What monarch, sometimes known as the Virgin Queen, was the last of the 5 monarchs in the House of Tudor? And this is, of course, an English monarch.
We're locked in.
Carmela and Nate are locked in. Over to Matty and Nathan. You guys can talk it out.
We are also locked in.
That was fast. All right, going to the third question in your Betty White Gauntlet. What man, a former baseball player for the Senators, Athletics, Orioles, and Tigers, went on to a career as a head coach who had 1-year stints with the Rangers and Angels in the early 70s, coached the Royals from 1975 to 1979, and won a championship as the head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals in 1982. Once again, I will give this to you. What man, a former baseball player for the Senators, Athletics, Orioles, and Tigers, went on to a career as a head coach who had 1-year stints for the Rangers and Angels in the early 70s, coached the Royals from 1975 to 1979, and won a championship as the head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals in 1982.
All right, we're locked in on that one.
We are locked in. And if I win this on a baseball question, that would be amazing.
Go down in history.
All right, so all of the teams have locked in their answers for the Gauntlet. I'm going to go back through the questions and get your answers. Betty White says the love of her life was what man who she met while he was hosting a game show she was a guest on. Carmela and Nate, what was your answer?
Betty was married to a man, I'm going to give the last name of Ludden, just in case I get his first name wrong, but she was married to him for a long time, Ludden.
All right. Matty and Nathan, what were you thinking?
The answer we gave as well was Ludden. I remember seeing a cartoon meme of her going to heaven, and then he was there waiting for her, and it was really sad. And I saw that name, so we said Ludden.
All right. The second question, I wanted you to tell me what monarch was the last monarch in the House of Tudor. Matty and Nathan, what did you guys answer?
Go for it, Nathan.
Elizabeth I.
Elizabeth I. All right. Carmela and Nate, what were you thinking?
Yeah, definitely went with Elizabeth I here.
Yep, that was a short conversation.
And lastly, I wanted you to tell me what baseball head coach won a championship as a coach of the St. Louis Cardinals in 1982. Carmela and Nate, tell me what you were thinking. How did you come to your answer?
Well, I mean, I initially threw out, this seems like it would have something to do with White, given the last question. So White or Whitey someone, and Carmela took it from there.
Yeah, I was like, Whitey. I remember there being somebody named Whitey Herzog. I'm pretty sure he was a coach. Don't know, but it's a weird name that I remembered. So we said Whitey Herzog.
Okay. And then Matty and Nathan, what did you answer?
Yeah, so on this one, there are two famous Whiteys in baseball history. And the first is Whitey Ford, who was a Hall of Fame pitcher for the Yankees and is name-checked in the title of that bigger Everlast from the early 2000s. Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. The other one, who I had to get Whitey Ford out of my head, and I also, because it's kind of a similar name, had to get legendary manager Sparky Anderson out of my head. But eventually I came around to coming up with the former Cardinals manager, Whitey Herzog.
Oh, yeah. It is a baseball coach. Woo!
I love how you guys worked through the category to figure out where your answers should lie, especially for that third question. I wrote that gauntlet this morning at 9 o'clock. It was the last thing I had to do to make sure to be ready for this show, and I am very pleased with how it went. Your correct answers are Alan Ludden. He was, in fact, the host of Password when Betty White was a guest, and she said that it was like we had already known each other for a long time. Really beautiful. Rest in peace, Betty White. God, it sucks having her pass away. The answer to the second question was Elizabeth I, or Betty, if you want to stretch it a little bit. The Virgin. I wondered if the Virgin Queen would lead you guys to White being white, but neither of you fell for that. And lastly, Whitey Herzog was in fact the coach of the Cardinals in the 1982 championship. Both teams got it right. It will come down to wagers. Carmela and Nate, what did you wager?
So.
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Carmela. Okay. Well, because Carmela calculated, the safe bet for them, I think they could bet 59 and came up with that we would have to bet 120, I think, to cover that. And as long as we had 125, we both said, why not just bet everything? And
if we're going to bet 120, might as well bet 125.
Woo! So you guys are going to finish with 250 points, which ain't too shabby. Matty and Nathan, you need to have wagered looks like 66 points or more to win the game. If you wagered less than 66, you will not win. What is your wager?
So
We wagered.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I there's all the math food that you can go through here, and of going back and forth on what are they going to do? Are they going to bet it all? Are they going to try to hang back? And I, very early on in the podcast days on another show on Andy Saunders' Complete the List, lost a game because I failed to wager to cover, and so I said never ever ever again, and so we wagered to cover at 66 points.
With a final score of 251 to 250, your winners are Matty Kimberlin and Nathan McQuinn.
Good game,
The
guys.
correct team
That
won.
was a lot of fun.
Honestly, you guys did great.
Yeah, but you made them earn it.
Thank you.
You made them earn it. When you finish a game with 250 points, it looks pretty good. All right. That was an awesome game. Great job, everybody. Before we go, we like to give everybody a chance to do shout-outs and promote causes they care about. We will start with our winners. Nathan, let's go to you.
I unfortunately came down with COVID last week. And so just to remind people that we are still in a pandemic, mask up, get vaccinated, make sure that you're following all the recommendations and taking care of the most vulnerable, and making sure that we have, just to be blunt, as least people as possible die. So do what we can to make sure we keep ourselves healthy.
Absolutely.
And not only ourselves, but our community.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Matty, Kimberlin, over to you.
I'm going to take a related message in a slightly different direction. I absolutely endorse getting vaccinated and being safe and all these things. But I have noticed that there is, with as long as this has all gone on and as many changes as have happened to our lives, I think for a lot of people, there has set in somewhat of a fear and a paralysis perhaps about getting back to normal. And so I just encourage people at whatever level you are able to do to make sure that you are, as much as possible, getting back to a sense of normalcy in your life, getting back to, making sure you're doing things like getting out and exercising and making sure that you are seeing people and doing all the things that are very critical to our physical and mental health going forward. And so, just make sure that you are not, you're not paralyzed forever. We've gone through a lot of trauma over the last 2 years. And so, yeah, make sure you're taking care of yourself.
All right. Thank you, Matty. And Nate, we'll wrap it up with you.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a teacher myself, I just kind of want to shout out educators out there who are dealing with the complexities of the pandemic in various ways and still managing to support students and their health and their mental health and their learning in this crazy time. So thank you to all of the teachers and, of course, the people who support them, whether at home, spouses, friends, families. And that's also a shout out to my beautiful wife, Courtney. And I really appreciate all the teachers around me and all the people that support them.
Love it. Very cool. And that is going to wrap us up. So for Nathan, for Matty, for Nate and Carmela, my name's Jonathan. This has been episode number 359 of Trivial Warfare, where it's not just trivia, it's war. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trivial Warfare. Be sure to check out the revamped TrivialWarfare.com as your one-stop shop to submit questions, join the community, and get access to over 150 archived episodes. Warm It Up was written and performed by Matthew Stevens. This episode was edited and produced by me, Joel Sharpton. For help with your podcast, visit ProPodcastingServices.com.
I'm glad Carmela knew that. All I could think of was Whitey Bulger, and I'm like, no, that's not.
No. Whitey Bulger Sings the Blues, the new album by Everlast.